This image shows the front cover of an anime original soundtrack CD, and it's doing a lot of visual storytelling in a single, very 90s anime way. Let's take it apart carefully. At the top right, the text reads Original Video Animation and Original Soundtrack, with the Japanese title弹劾ダンガイオー. That immediately places this in the OVA era of anime, late 1980s to early 1990s, when high-budget direct-to-video productions were a playground for experimental visuals, intense action, and dramatic music. The mech, left side. Dominating the left side is a large humanoid mecha, shown in close-up rather than full body. This choice emphasizes power and menace rather than scale alone. The color palette is striking, matte grays and blacks for the armor, contrasted with sharp red accents on the head crest and shoulder areas. The eyes glow orange, narrow and aggressive, giving the robot a predatory, almost sentient presence rather than a neutral machine. Mechanical details are dense but controlled. Vents, joints, and layered armor plates suggest advanced technology without visual clutter. The face design leans toward the samurai mask tradition common in Japanese mecha design, evoking both ancient armor and futuristic warfare. This mecha isn't presented as a background tool. It feels like a central character, possibly even a symbol of overwhelming force or latent danger. The female character, right side. On the right, sharply contrasted against the black background, is a female anime character in mid-motion. She wears a tight, light blue and white bodysuit, very typical of late 80s sci-fi anime aesthetics. Her pose suggests action or psychic force, one arm extended forward, fingers spread, as if projecting energy or reaching toward the viewer. Her hair flows upward and outward, implying motion, weightlessness, or telekinetic power. Her expression is focused and intense rather than playful, reinforcing a serious, high-stakes narrative tone. Visually, she represents the human, or enhanced human element, emotion, vulnerability, and willpower in contrast to the cold mass of the machine. Composition and contrast. The composition is very deliberate. Machine versus human. The left side is heavy, angular, and mechanical. The right side is organic, fluid, and dynamic. Dark versus light. The background is nearly pure black, making both figures pop dramatically and giving the image a theatrical, almost stage-like presence. Stillness versus motion. The robot feels immovable and looming, while the woman appears caught in a moment of action. This visual tension mirrors a classic anime theme, humanity struggling to control, survive, or merge with overwhelming technology. Overall tone and context. As a soundtrack cover, this artwork does its job perfectly. It promises intense, dramatic music, likely heavy on synthesizers, orchestral hits, and heroic or ominous motifs. It signals serious sci-fi action, not comedy or slice of life. It firmly belongs to the OVA golden age, when anime covers were bold, slightly over the top, and unapologetically dramatic. In short, this cover isn't subtle, and it doesn't want to be. It's selling power, conflict, and high emotion, frozen in a moment just before everything explodes into motion and sound. This image shows the back cover of the same anime original soundtrack CD, and it shifts from dramatic illustration to clean, functional presentation. It's all about information, branding, and period design rather than spectacle. Overall layout and design. The dominant feature is the large red panel occupying most of the cover. The red isn't flashy or textured, it's flat and calm, which is very typical of Japanese soundtrack reissues from the 2000s. It creates a neutral background that keeps the focus on text rather than imagery. The layout is deliberately left heavy. Track titles are aligned vertically on the left. The right side is mostly empty, giving the design breathing room and avoiding clutter. This minimalism contrasts strongly with the explosive front cover, which is intentional. Front sells emotion, back delivers structure. Title and header. At the top, in a narrow header band, the Japanese text identifies the work as an original video animation, the title弾劾凰 the album as a music collection soundtrack. This confirms that the CD is positioned as an official archival release, not a casual compilation. Track list. There are 13 tracks, numbered clearly. 2 of them are explicitly marked as songs, while the rest are instrumental cues. Even without translating each title word for word, the structure tells a story. Early tracks suggest gathering, confrontation, and battle. Middle tracks hint at psychic powers, androids, fate, and blood. Later tracks imply climax, resolution, and emotional closure. This is classic OVA soundtrack pacing. Action-heavy opening, darker experimental middle, and reflective or hopeful ending. Credits and production details. Below the track list are composer, arranger, and performer credits, all in Japanese. This section reinforces that the music was treated seriously as a composed work, not just background audio. At the very bottom, ANIMEX 1200 169 branding appears on the right. This identifies it as part of the ANIMEX 1200 budget reissue series, a well-known Japanese line that re-released classic anime soundtracks at a standardized affordable price. Copyright information shows 2007 Columbia Music Entertainment, printed in Japan. Logos for Columbia, CD format, and rights holders are present, clean and understated. The date marking 07.321 indicates the release date, March 21st, 2007. Physical and cultural context. This back cover screams collector-friendly reissue. No liner note overload. No excessive nostalgia graphics. Just clean typography and institutional confidence. It's designed for fans who already know what Dangaio is and want the music preserved properly. The restraint actually adds credibility. This isn't trying to hype, it's documenting. Overall impression. If the front cover is adrenaline and myth, the back cover is order and archive. Together they form a very Japanese balance, emotion on one side, discipline on the other. It's the kind of soundtrack package that fits perfectly on a shelf next to other classic mecha OVAs, quietly saying, "This mattered enough to be kept." Let's go through the track list one by one and translate it into clear, natural English. I'll keep the tone faithful to how anime soundtrack titles usually read, not overly literal where that would sound awkward. This is the original video animation, Haja Taisei Dangaio original soundtrack. 1. Crossfight. Title already in English, this is one of the vocal tracks. 2. The Ones Who Gathered. A classic heroes assembling type of cue. 3. Gilberg of the Wasteland, likely a character theme. Wasteland gives it a harsh, lonely edge. 4. The Battleship, theme of the space pirates. Very OVA core title, expect menace and swagger. 5. The Android's Pursuit, cold, relentless, probably driven by synth rhythms. 6. Esper Warriors, refers to psychic-powered fighters. High-energy action music is almost guaranteed. 7. Dangaio, Take Flight, a heroic launcher transformation theme. 8. The Fated Living Weapon, heavy, dramatic wording. This screams tragic backstory. 9. The Blood-Soaked Goddess, Bladydus dark, operatic naming. This is almost certainly a villain theme. 10. First Strike, Bullet Storm fast, aggressive battle cue. 11. Psychic Slash, and then the ellipsis suggests escalation or a turning point in the story. 12. Toward the Edge of the Distant Galaxy, a reflective or journey-ending piece. Space melancholy vibes. 13. Song, Honesty of the Heart. The second vocal track, likely emotional or bittersweet. General observation. This track list is textbook late 80s mecha OVA. Big nouns. Fate, blood, galaxy, warriors. Clear narrative arc just from the titles. Songs placed at the beginning and end to frame the story emotionally. Even without hearing a single note, you can almost reconstruct the entire OVA just from these names. That's good soundtrack design. Music as narrative memory, not just background noise. This image is not part of the Dangaio soundtrack itself, but an insert advertising the ANIMEX 1200 series. I'll translate and explain it cleanly, because this page is actually very interesting from a collector's point of view. Header translation. ANIMEX 1200. ANIMEX 1200 series, limited production. Each 1,260, tax included. 1,100 before tax. This tells us, this CD belongs to the ANIMEX 1200 budget reissue line. These were limited run pressings, not permanent catalog items. The price was standardized and intentionally affordable.
Main description. Translated.
Open quote. From Columbia Music Entertainment's character album releases, the ANIMEX 1200 series delivers carefully selected classic titles at a limited, reasonable price. This series includes many works that were previously released on LP records, now reissued on CD. Some titles are CD only. The contents of this CD are identical to the original release at the time. Close quote. In plain English, this is a faithful reissue program, not a remix, remaster, or rearrangement project. What you're hearing is the original music presentation. Series list. Translated and explained. Below is a numbered list of ANIMEX 1200 releases, entries 151 to 170. Each line shows series number, title, type, soundtrack, music collection, catalog num 72x. I'll translate the most relevant ones and summarize the rest to avoid turning this into a phone book. Selected highlights from the list. 151, Kamen Rider Black RX, Music Collection. 152, Choju Sentai Live Man, Music Collection. 153, Jinro, actually Android Kikaider, Rinzarunin Kikaida, Music Collection. 154, Symphonic Fantasy, Choju Sentai Jetman. 155, Gosei Sentai Dairenger, Music Collection. I-156, Ninpu Sentai Kakuranger, Music Collection. 157, Choriki Sentai Oranger, Symphonic Suite. 158, Ultraman G Great, Music Collection. 159, TV Original BGM Collection, Mighty Jack. Film Original BGM Collection, Daimajin. 160 Man Japan, Music Collection. 162, Super Big Man, Music Collection. 163, Kamen Rider Original Soundtrack. 164, Ultraman TV Original Soundtrack. 165, Space Warrior Baldios, Music Collection Volber 2. 1166, Music Fairy, Sally the Witch, Piano and Orchestral Pieces. 167, New Cutie Honey, Music Collection Vol. 168, The Laughing Salesman, Music Collection. 169. Original Video Animation, Haja Taisei Dengaio, Music Collection. Space Fantasy, Galaxian, Galaga, likely arcade related. So your CD is ANIMEX 1200, number 169. Tashed bottom section, handling notes. The small text at the bottom is standard Japanese CD care instructions. Warning about avoid heat and direct sunlight. Do not scratch or bend the disc. Handle carefully when removing from the case. Improper storage may damage the plastic case. Nothing unusual there. Why this insert matters. This insert tells us a lot. Your Dangaio CD is part of a curated historical preservation effort. It sits alongside Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Ultraman, and classic OVAs. It was never meant as a flashy collector's deluxe. It was meant to keep important anime music alive and accessible. That's why the packaging is restrained and archival. This is anime music treated like cultural material, not disposable merchandise.
This CD is a quiet little time capsule, and a good one.
This image shows the actual CD disc from the Haja Taisei Dengaio soundtrack, and it's a great example of how the ANIMEX 1200 series treated discs as archival objects rather than flashy collectibles. Let's break it down and translate what's printed on it.
Main title text. Top.
Japanese English. Original video animation. Original video animation. Ingeki music collection. Original soundtrack. So the full meaning is essentially original video animation, Haja Taisei Dangaio, music collection. This matches exactly what we saw on the back cover and confirms this is a straight soundtrack release, not a remix or best of. Copyright and legal text. Small print. In English, already printed on the disc but worth contextualizing. Open quote, all rights of the producer and of the owner of the work, reproduced reserved. Unauthorized copying, public performance and broadcasting of this record prohibited. Made in Japan by Columbia Music Entertainment, Inc. Close quote. Then below that, SOS 72249, the catalog number, Stereo, 2007, logos for Columbia Music Entertainment, Jazz Rack, and standard CD marks. This confirms official Japanese domestic release, Stereo Master, 2007 reissue date, not the original 1980s release. ANIMEX branding. Around the outer ring, repeated continuously. ANIMEX 1200, ANIMEX 1200, ANIMEX 1200. This repetition isn't decorative fluff, it's branding discipline. The disc is instantly recognizable even without the case. Very Japanese, very intentional. At the bottom center, ANIMEX 1200 169. This is the key identifier. Series, ANIMEX 1200, entry number, 169, which matches the insert and back cover perfectly. Design and aesthetic analysis. The deep red color mirrors the back cover and the ANIMEX series identity. No character art, no illustrations, no gradients. Typography is clean, industrial, and archival. This disc is designed to say, open quote, this is a preserved work. Treat it seriously. Close quote. It's almost the opposite of flashy Western soundtrack CDs from the same era. Physical context. You can also see the clear hub ring, light reflections from the polycarbonate surface, the disc sitting inside a standard jewel case. Nothing fancy, nothing fragile. This is meant to be played, not sealed forever. Overall impression. This disc perfectly completes the story told by the packaging. Front cover, myth, power, drama. Back cover, structure and documentation. Insert, historical context. Disc itself, pure archive. It's a quiet, confident design. No nostalgia bait, no fan service imagery. Just this music mattered, so it was kept properly. Taken as a whole, this ANIMEX 1200 release treats Dangaio not as disposable anime ephemera, but as a fixed point in anime music history. And that restraint is exactly why it still feels classy today.